The devil has been defeated. Don't let him shakara you. Don't let him shakara you.
We were going to move into this new season in our study of the book of Genesis, but then we were impressed upon to take a pause. I have to say this was not particularly planned. This was not intentional. The plan is for us to take a break and take a mini series on the topic, the weapons of our warfare. It's a mini series. I mean, if we want to talk about the weapons of our warfare in depth, we will be taking a year or even more, because remember, there are different parts of our weapons, and when we talk about the weapons of our warfare, we are going to talk about the warfare, isn't it? We are going to talk about who the enemy is, where, why, what, when. We're going to talk about all those things. We're going to talk about the weapons themselves. We're going to talk about the armor of our warfare, and we're going to talk about so many things. But the whole idea for this mini series is actually to make it compact, and we are trusting God. I have to be honest with you, I often don't know in full detail in what direction this teaching takes. Now I have an idea, I just oftentimes just know where next to put the next step, and that is it really. Some of these things I just do them trusting the Lord to lead me, because I can't see far beyond maybe what the next episode or the 2 episodes forward looks like sometimes. And sometimes you start this mini series, and you just trust God and see how it goes. I remember when we did the New Testament giving, initially I actually thought it was just going to last for about 3, 4 or 5 episode top, but it ended up running for about 14 episodes. Well, we are willing to just yield ourselves for God to use us. Again, the plan is not to do an in-depth study of the weapons of our warfare, but to do enough as the Spirit of the Lord will grant us the strength. All right, so that is the plan. Okay, now tonight we are not actually going to talk about or start talking about the weapons of our warfare. Now tonight is actually going to be kind of like an appetizer, if we can call it that way, like a primer. Today I want to reflect on a topic titled God Deniers. Let's also read 2 Timothy chapter 4 from verses 1 to 5. My focus is on verse 4. I solemnly urge you in the presence of God and Christ Jesus, who will someday judge the living and the dead when it comes to set up his kingdom. Preach the word of God. Be prepared, whether the time is favorable or not. Patiently correct, rebuke, and encourage your people with good teaching. Verse 3. For a time is coming when the people will no longer listen to sound and wholesome teaching. They will follow their own desires and will look for teachers who will tell them whatever their itching ears want to hear. They will reject the truth and chase after myths. But you should keep a clear mind in every situation. Don't be afraid of suffering for the Lord. Work at telling others the good news and fully carry out the ministry God has given you. Right. The heart of this verse is that it said, for a time is coming. It said a time is coming when people will no longer listen to sound and wholesome teaching. Verse 4 says that they will reject the truth and chase after myths. Remember, the topic we are reflecting on tonight is God Deniers. God Deniers. In the course of the week, what happened was that I came across a true story. It's a story that actually happened back in 2000. Actually, it was a court case that happened in United Kingdom in 2000. And I have to say, I didn't actually know about this event or the other stories or the other situations around it until quite recent. In fact, until this week, just gone. I was listening to a sermon by a minister of God that I respect too much, and he was talking about, and then he mentioned this case, and I thought, this is not something I was aware of. So I stopped the video and I went to search out the case. It was a libel case that was brought by an historian and an author called David Iving. That was the event that minister mentioned. So it was a libel case that this historian and author called David Iving brought against somebody. Now, more about that in a moment. David Iving is actually still alive, obviously. He's quite more elderly now. Now, the reason why this story rang a bell within me is because it brought something to me that I have touched on, that I've always talked about. So I want to talk about this compulsive tendency for people to deny the truth. The capacity that people have to deny the truth. Even when there are evidences to support the truth, the capacity that we as humans have to deny the truth. And that would then mean that if we deny the truth, the fact, with all the evidences, that then means that we will then have to create our own alternative truth. And I can give you some example here. I'm not going to go into any one of these to any detail at all. I'm just mentioning it. Some example of denial. So once you have a denial of a truth, what you then have is that people will have to create alternate truth to try to explain or to try to hold on now that they've denied the truth. Couple of examples. For example, many people deny that the earth is round. I mean, even in this age of technological advancement, there are so many people that still deny that the earth is round. There are many people, and many of them intelligent, that actually believe in what they call a flat earth. And sometimes you wonder, how can people still believe in such things despite all the evidences that we have around us? Many people still deny that humans stepped foot on the moon. They believe that it was all fabricated. And that is the word you will hear people that deny truth use. And then they will develop all this conspiratory theory to try and explain the reason why they reject the truth and why they suspect the evidences. Another common one, which actually feed into this story I'm going to tell you, is the fact that people somehow deny that the people of Israel today, despite all the genetic evidences that they were not the true Israelites, that other people of certain color, other people group color, that they are the true Israel, that the Israel they are now, that they are impostors, that they are fraudulent. And people believe that. And there are people that have built religion and movement based on this false belief. They deny the truth with all the evidences, and in the process they create alternative truth and evidences. And some of those people, when you listen to them, sometimes it is exhausting, because oftentimes they come up with all these evidences that really the masses have no clue what they are talking about. It takes experts in those areas to be able to disprove that they are lying. And they talk rhetorically, they talk intelligently, they are loud, they are imposing, they seem to have evidences, but when you then cross-examine them, by the expert in those areas, you realize that all those people, they have learned how to speak jargon confidently, and they are confused about fact. They've stretched the fact, they've manipulated the fact, and that is often what you see in a lot of this group. There are still many people today that deny that the Holocaust ever happened. The Holocaust, when millions and millions of Jews were gassed to death by Nazi Germany. Movement today, group of people today in high places, in governments all over the world that have international connection. We have people that still deny that there was ever Holocaust. They deny that the Holocaust ever happened. To be clear, we know during history that Adolf Hitler did not only just persecute or kill the Jews. We know that. We know that Christians were persecuted. People with disability were killed. We know that. Okay? But the fact is that millions and millions and millions of Jews were gassed to death during the Holocaust. It was part of the chain of events that finally led to the Israelites returning to their homeland. But you still have people today that will deny that ever happened. I can give you other examples. Now, my goal is actually to talk about the most important and the most deadly form of denial of the existence of God. We have religion, movement, ideology that wholesale have challenged the existence of God. And that is really the ultimate form, the most lethal form, the most dangerous form of denial. And that is why we are here talking about this. Remember, this is a primer. This, as it were, is an appetizer as we talk about the weapon of our warfare. Because you can see this is part of the warfare that we find ourselves. Our children are living in cultures now. Our children, they are digital generation. They are exposed to this barrage of ideology that want to rewrite history. Okay, and a whole lot of this movement, they are powerful. They control the social media. They control the mainstream media. They can manipulate people with facts. They can use propaganda tools to confuse the facts. And less and less people are comfortable and bold enough to challenge this lie, because oftentimes they make your life miserable if you try to point out their error and point them to the truth. So this is the reason why we are looking at these things. But let's go back and look briefly at the case of this historian and author David Iving that I spoke about. This was the trigger for me. I know about the Holocaust. I know about people that deny the Holocaust. But what I didn't know about was this particular gentleman. I'll call him a gentleman. Now, I'm not going to go deeply into the story. But Iving, I'll be calling him Iving, was an historian, a reasonably respected historian. And this is oftentimes the issue with deniers sometimes, because some of them are people of standing. But the truth is that the devil can use anybody, and the devil can lie through anybody. So, long story short, with respect to Iving, yes, he was a reasonably respected historian who actually have written quite a number of books that people applauded. But long story short, without going into the detail, Iving drifted outside the study of mainstream history into being an Holocaust denier. Now, people have investigate the reason why it drifted in that direction. That is not going to be our focus today. So it drifted steadily from mainstream history into being an Holocaust denier. He openly espoused Holocaust denier, and specifically he denied that Jews were murdered by gassing at the Auschwitz concentration camp. He specifically denied that. That is a sense in which you have an academician, somebody of a good standing, that the devil used to do his dirty job. It's just like a lot of the things we are reading on the internet today, when Christian pastors of major mega churches now turn and say they don't believe in what they once said they believed in. Now, that was him. There is another character in this story, a woman called Deborah Lipstadt. Now, I'm probably not calling her name very well. It's Lipstadt, Lipstadt. Now, Deborah, I'll be calling her Deborah. That's a lot easier for me to call. She is, because she also is still alive, she is an American historian and a diplomat now. So Deborah wrote a book titled Denying the Holocaust. Remember, she is also an historian. She wrote a book that talked about people and the movement to try and deny the Holocaust. And she wrote the book as an American in 1993. Now, in her book, she specifically called Ivan out. Okay, now this is where their two paths crossed. In her book, she specifically called out Ivan and called him an Holocaust denier, falsifier, bigot, and said that he manipulated and distorted real documents. Okay, that was her charge against Ivan. Obviously, Ivan didn't take this line low, because what happened is that Penguin, that was a publishing company called Penguin Book. They then published Deborah's book, right? So Penguin published Deborah's book in Britain, and in September 1996, Ivan filed a libel suit against Deborah and against his British publisher, the Penguin Book. Essentially, what he said was that they ruined his reputation and all that. So he sued both of them. So it was that UK lawsuit that caught my attention. Again, I was totally ignorant of that until this week just gone. Long story short, we are not going to go into the detail. It was a fascinating story. In fact, there is a film that was made from this court case, and obviously it touched a little bit into the background story. I will encourage you, if you can, to watch the film. It is titled Denier. So to cut long story short, the court case was led by a judge. It was not by a jury. How that came to pass is another interesting story on its own. We'll leave that alone. The English court found that Ivan was an active Holocaust denier, anti-Semite, racist, who for his own ideological reasons persistently and deliberately misrepresented and manipulated historical evidence. And in addition, the court found that Ivan's book has distorted the history of Hitler's role in the Holocaust, and he tried to depict Hitler in a favorable light. That is the summary of the judgment. Obviously, this was not what he was expecting. I mean, his reputation was already on a downslope anyway because of this drift towards denying the Holocaust and painting Hitler in a good light. But this judgment was the final stroke. The judgment bankrupted him. He was publicly humiliated. In fact, he was later imprisoned in 2006 in Austria for Holocaust denial. But this is the sad part of the story. All this did not change Ivan's mind. In fact, I watched a BBC Hard Talk interview that he had after this court case, and it was still deviant. And oftentimes, a lot of these people, rather than face the reality of the issue, a lot of them, let me talk about him, specifically painted this as if it was the David and he was fighting this giant Goliath. You know, all these establishment that have a lot of money against me, little David. Wrongly, obviously, applying the case of David to himself. And this is the problem. Despite the fact that, number one, on academic ground, many, in fact, one of the major person that was a witness was an expert in this area. Okay, despite the fact that he has been shown to be a fraud, well, look, nobody's taking away from his achievements as a historian, but that in this area that he has allowed his ideological bias to color his judgment he still refused to change his mind. Why? Why? That is the question. That's the question. Remember, where we are going is really this area of people denying God. Why? Why will people deny the truth even when the evidence is there? Why will this man, who to all intent and purpose was a man of good standing in the community, why will he still stick to the fact? And now he's saying that the only reason, and I was listening to that interview, hard talk interview, and the reason why he lost, because the other side had all the money and they hired all the lawyers, and little me, David was fighting this Goliath. The judge did not really say that and all those things. And the fact is, not just Irving, we still have a lot of Holocaust denier all around us today. And the truth is that new proponents of these ideologies are finding new followers for various reasons all the time. And the same can be said about quite a number of the other truths that I said people deny. And there are so many examples of situations where people deny the truth. I'm going to stop there today. Again, it is clear here now that this primer, that this appetizer is going to go on Monday, because really important, very, very important as the situation of Holocaust that we have mentioned today, I'm just preparing the ground to get to the point of where people actually deny God. Why? And what can we do about it? So I'm going to stop there tonight by the grace of God. Now, if you are listening to me and you have bought into the lie that there's no God, that we came out of nothing and we're going nowhere, I want you to know that you've bought into a lie. And I'm praying that God will open your eyes, because where this primer will end is the fact that, actually, I can show you all the evidence until you are blue in the face. I can debunk all your evidences. I can even, like in this case, I can even apply legal means to try and stop you. But the truth is that ultimately, actually, it's only take God. When people have been taken up by these lies, I'll show you next time by God's grace, they become trapped. And it actually takes God to break those traps. Remember, we are moving into the weapons of our warfare. It takes God. It takes only God to break people out of these lies once they get trapped. And if you are, I'm praying that God is punching at your heart now. And if God is touching your heart, all you need to do is to submit. Admit that you are wrong, you are a sinner. Accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Ask Him to save you and He will save you. You'll become a member of His family, a citizen of His kingdom. He will walk with you. You will grow in your faith as you join yourself with a Bible-believing church. And when all this is over, because it will be over, you can then spend eternity with Jesus in the new heaven and the new earth. Do it right now.